Hello everyone, welcome to this week's webinar. I'm here with Brenndan Cooper. We're at Tiffany Green's Golf Club in Kansas City, Missouri. And as usual, we're brought to you by Medicus Golf and Kickheads Golf. This week, we had several requests about the driver. So this week, it's entitled "Let the Big Dog Eat." That's something that golfers say when they decide to pull out that driver.
Get all muscular.
Yeah, they get all beefed up, swollen. So what happens is, when they pull that thing out, right? They just want to hit it 400 yards.
Oh yeah.
So
which is doable.
If you have any questions, please put them in the sidebar. We'll get to that afterwards. But think about this for a second. You're standing on the tee and you watch somebody warming up with their driver, waiting to hit their shot, right? And they're making swings that look pretty good. They're in balance and everything else, right? And you go, man, that guy could probably hit it. And then it's their turn for the tee, and they step up and they start. They get like this. I'm just going to kill this thing, right? And then they just get here, and they either just whiff it right off the toe, right, or it just didn't get off the ground.
Right.
So in that case, that wasn't letting the big dog eat. That was a chihuahua taking a nibble. Okay. So we have to learn. If you want to hit this thing harder, there are several things you have to do. One of those is hitting it in the middle of the face in the sweet spot. The other one is having enough club speed to hit it the distance you want to hit it. Right. So I'll give you this back. So go ahead and talk about that, and I'll take one of these.
Well, the first thing that we see a lot of on the tee is when somebody comes to us and says, well, I'm struggling with my driver, or want to get more distances. The first thing we'll look at is setup. We've talked before where we want you to set up for success with the driver, and a lot of times it's simply just making sure a couple things of one, ball position with the driver is very critical. Right? We day in and day out, people will come to us and they've got the ball more towards the middle part. Middle part of their stance, and who knows what the ball's going to do.
Right, it's either typically going to go to the right, or they'll just hit big snap hooks.
Yeah.
And the spin rate's really high.
Yeah. Or you'll just go right underneath it because you're hitting down on it so much, and it'll go in the air.
Yeah. So if you have those marks on the top of your driver, that's not from swinging up on the ball. That's from the angle being too steep.
Right.
And believe it or not, they're not speed slots. They will not make it go faster by leaving them on there.
Yeah, it's not a good look. So, the first thing with ball position on the setup is, we want to have the ball more off of our lead shoulder. So if I'm a right-handed player, it's going to be more towards my left shoulder here. So we want to make sure we get the ball up there and make sure that our alignment's pretty good too. And one thing that we see a ton of is as we move ball up, then people will start moving their head forward and their shoulders will start to open. So
right, and they'll move, go ahead and set up again, they'll move their hands way forward.
Yeah.
Which moves all of this forward.
Yeah.
So you want to let your hands kind of drift back a little bit.
So you can see as I try to get on the camera here, as I got the ball forward, if I let my arms hang, my hands are maybe slightly behind the ball, which is okay.
Right.
That's going to allow this club to have maximum speed, hopefully, and will definitely help us with club face control.
Right. And just to give you an example, the other day I had a guy that, and he's a member. He said, I just can't hit the driver. So I worked with him, so I know what his tendency is. So when he set up to hit the driver, he did exactly what you just said. He had the ball in the middle. Mm-hmm. And so when he hit it, all he hit was these really quick low duck hooks. And a couple of them, he'd just fan out to the right. And I said, Phil, you've got to move the ball forward. So, we'll do a little drill where we'll lay down a target line, so to speak, or an alignment line. And then we'll make a right angle to that. And we'll put the ball out here. Then we have them step into it. And then if I just step into this right here with my left heel on this line, and I set up with this driver, right now that ball is right about here in the middle of my chest. So you step over to make sure that this line now is up at your left shoulder. Now when I step over, that means I may have to have my hands back slightly a little more.
Right.
But one thing when you do that, and when you move your hands back, you don't want to get the face pointing left. Right. Let that thing move back and feel like the face is looking up a little.
Just a little.
Just a little.
Just a little.
Yeah.
And you notice when Chuck did that too is by having this rod here for the alignment part, now you can feel how, you know, body lines as far as shoulders and everything is running fairly close to parallel left there. So, you know, again, like we were talking earlier, we get the ball up this far and I'm doing this, well, now I'm all bent out. I'm like a bent pretzel, basically.
Right.
So ball's forward, head's kind of in the center. So it's like the old saying, you know, yeah, my head's behind the ball. I don't need to worry about trying to do any of this other money business because the ball's already up there.
Right. And when you set the ball up, make sure that the inside part of the ball, where you're going to impact it, is to the outside edge of that, of that rod.
Right. So now, you know, when we make a normal swing here from a good setup and the ball's in a pretty good spot, that's going to allow us to come in, allow the face to have a little bit more time to square, and then it's going to try to level it out a little bit more at the bottom.
Right.
Or again, if it's back here, face could be open, path and angle of attack is going to be all out of whack.
Right. And you can also, when you do this drill and you set up to it, if moving your stance wider is uncomfortable to you, you can leave your stance here. I mean, the ball right now is positioned right here, as you can see in line with that shaft. I can push my hips forward and tilt my upper body back, which will move the ball up.
Yep.
So be wary that if you're one of these players that goes up and you tilt, if I go up and I have this ball at this shoulder, and now I tilt away from it, effectively that ball's in front of that shoulder now.
Well, this thing,
So I better get going.
right. Well, just look at Bob Tway. Bob Tway had a very narrow stance, but when he set up with the driver, he also had a little bit of
tilt.
that because he was getting the ball where in relation to his shoulder here,
Right.
where it needed to be.
Right. So this is the best way to work on your ball position. And you can experiment with this. You can go ahead and set up to this, and you want to put your target side heel pretty close to this, and I can look down here and see where that white line is hitting me. So if I just go like this, I see the white lines over here now. Or if I just tilt, I see the white lines up here at my shoulder.
Right.
So experiment, move the ball position back and forth so you can see what the different flights are going to be. You'll know that if you get it too far back, you're generally going to push it over to the right.
Yeah.
If you're swinging from the inside.
Exactly. Exactly. And this is such an easy thing to do on the range, but yet it's very valuable because by doing something like this, you're calibrating your eyes to help you take it to the golf course.
Right.
So by working on your setup and getting things set like this, then you can get a sense and a feel for when you're standing on that first tee. Instead of aiming 50 yards to the right, you'll be a little bit more where you think you're going.
Right. So you know when you get up and you start your downswing, we've talked about getting your pressure forward. Be careful that you don't get 70–80% forward of it before your left arm gets down. Right. If you're a right-handed golfer, you want to feel like when your left arm gets to parallel, that you're 50-50 in your pressure.
Yep.
From there, you can start moving it the other way. But if you get your start down and you get your left arm down to parallel and you already got 80 here, you need to back up in order to hit the shot.
Yeah.
That's a hard move to do.
It's moving pretty fast to do that with the driver.
So you know we have a pretty good junior program here, and one of our juniors won 3 in a row, and then she won conference. One of our other kids just finished 3rd. And I'm looking at his scorecard because we have them charted, everything, they're greens, Tony.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, dude, on the front, you didn't hit many greens and you didn't hit many fairways. He said, yeah. He says, the ball's kind of just not going my normal shot. Well, his normal shot when we're practicing, because we make him lay these rods down, is he gets a fade. So I took him out on the golf course. Every shot he hit on the golf course was a draw because he's lining up. Instead of lining up like he would normally do, I'll use this as an alignment. You know, he always aims a little bit open for his fade. We get out there, I mean, he was aiming 30–40 yards right.
Yeah.
So now it just hits these big old sweep and pull hooks. So alignment rods are great for training for just about everything you want to work on in your golf swing.
Yeah, and it takes, how long did it take you to set that up? 5 seconds?
Yeah,
so
not long.
5 seconds. So people would say, well, I didn't have time to do it. 5 seconds.
So now, if you want to make sure that you're coming from the inside to strike your golf ball, you can do a couple other things. Out in front of your golf ball and in line with your target, set one of these rods about 10 yards out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can set something behind the golf ball. It could be a club head cover. It could be, you know, we use 2x4s because we want to get the point across pretty quick. But your job in the downswing would be to miss this thing that's setting over here, but yet get the ball started to the right of that shaft.
Yeah.
If you're playing a draw. If you're playing a cut, you want to start it to the left.
It's just going to be the opposite type of
It's the
setup.
opposite thing.
Yeah.
So it's okay to grab that driver and go, you know, but let's say you're standing on the tee and there's a bunker in the distance that you cannot carry. My piece of advice, our piece of advice would be don't swing harder to try to hit that over that bunker.
Right.
Take a club that's going to lay up after it rolls out and everything else that you're going to be 10, 15 yards back of that bunker.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's amazing that, you know, if we're out working with somebody on the golf course and we ask them, well, can you carry that bunker? And the reply would be, yeah, I've done it once.
Right.
And they've probably played the hole 1,000 times. Well, just because you did it once doesn't mean you're going to do it all the time.
Right.
So, you know, again, when you've got the driver, try to do things within yourself, and that's going to help you as far as get to where the true speed should come from. Right. Where what Chuck was saying earlier, we see a lot of people get all muscled up and it just goes haywire real quick.
And we've talked a lot about letting your arms be soft and swing, let your body, you know, move your arms a little bit. So the definition, our definition of a golf stroke is an arm swing transported by your body.
Yeah.
So if the driver, if you're lunging with your wedge, holy smoke, dude, you're just going to be all over with a driver.
You're done for.
Yeah,
you know,
you're way past nothing.
Like we've always used before, and I'll use the rope here, and we've done this exercise several times, and it's the same thing with the rods there. But you know, if I take this rope and go to the top here and just let it fall, but now if I just try to swing it and create some speed with it, well, I obviously had to swing these a little bit. But at the same time, my body was transporting that at the start.
Right.
Where what we see a ton of is people get here, do that. One bunch of a swoosh there.
You can skip rope with those people.
Yeah. So, you know, again, it's all about trying to get the sequence down and understanding what part has its job. And like Chuck said, the body starts and transports the hands and arms, but at the same time, they've got to swing. That's where the power and the speed's coming from.
Yeah. So your hands are like clamps.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your fingers, but your forearms, all your joints, your wrist, your elbow, and your shoulder, they need to feel like a rubber hose or like that rope. You know, they need to feel soft while you're holding pretty tight on this clip.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's answer some of these questions. I know we got a bunch of them today. Okay, so the first one is from Air. Do we hit the driver on the upswing, downswing, or square? Well, it wouldn't be square, it would be level. So the PGA Tour average is 1.3 degrees down with the driver. The longest hitters on tour average 4 degrees up. But now that's based on swing speed. So, you know, they can, if you're swinging 115 and 16 miles an hour, you can swing down 1 degree.
Yeah.
But if you're not, and that's generally everybody watching this webinar, you need to focus on swinging up.
Yeah.
So when you set up with a driver especially, you want to feel like you're setting on an uphill lie. All right, so you're trying to get this club to go this way through the ball. Instead of with an iron, we're trying to go that way, down on it. So you can do that by just putting a 2x4 or something under your lead foot so you can feel yourself kind of tilted back, and then just swing along that slope you just created.
Yeah. Or, you know, something I've seen you do a lot is just get somebody on an uneven line and have make practice swings swinging uphill.
Right.
You know.
And that works, and that'll get you to more swinging up. So the average player should be swinging up.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're a high-speed player, you can get away swinging down a little bit.
I mean, more times than not, the players we see day in and day out are people that, again, are hitting down on it because, again, they're not swinging the rope. They're swinging a lot of
Swinging the body.
They're swinging a lot from here up.
Right, and the ball's too far back.
Yeah.
So just ask yourself this question. If I wanted to swing up and hit this ball, and this is where the club is lowest point. Well, right now, that ball would be right here. So this would be swinging down. If I wanted to swing up and I had the ball position here, after impact, where does this club go? It goes up. So if you want to swing up, you need to move the ball up.
Yeah.
If you want to swing down, move the ball back.
Right, right.
All right, let's see what else we got here. All right, Eric, thanks for the question. All right, this is from Bob. Sounds like Bob Conch. I will play for a slight draw on all my shots, but occasionally my shot will go dead straight right or I'll pull it hard left. On the shots pulled left, I feel as if I let my right elbow get away from my body, but don't know what I'm doing to push the shots. Okay, so occasionally it'll go straight right or you'll pull it hard left. All right, so if it's going straight right, remember there's two pieces to this. There's a club face and a club path. So if you're going straight right, your club face and your club path are both pointed to the right. Anytime your ball is drawing, your club path, that's a position the club head is moving through, will always be, for a right-handed golfer, to the right of the face. If you're fading it, the path will always be to the left of the face. So the pull, if the ball is starting left, that's a club face issue. That means you've over-rotated the club face for a straight pull.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a pull hook, you still over-rotated the face, but the path was still to the right of the face. Doesn't mean it was to the right of the target line, though. Okay? So an exercise that we would ask you to do is, whatever club you've got, go up, swing down, stop your club face at impact and check it. So you practice going to square, pointing to the right, pointing to the left.
Yep.
Okay. Learn how to control the club face with your hands.
Yeah.
That's what you're holding on to this club with.
And that's a very effective drill because earlier today I was working with a student that had the exact opposite. I mean, his face was always on the open side.
Yeah.
And so I asked him, I said, all right, I want you to swing back waist high and then go to impact. Well, every time he did, that face was looking way to the right. I said, okay, so now what have you got to do to get the face down the line? And all it did was that. So now he's going to feel how it's got to roll a little bit. Right. Now, some players already have the roll, so you may need to feel an under roll.
Right.
Okay, so that's a very effective drill to learn and feel what's going on with the hands, aka club face.
Right. And let me just grab this racket real quick, because you can do this at home. If you have a tennis or a racquetball racket, in this case it's a badminton racket. So you just think of this as your club face, right? So as you're standing here, make swings and come down and look at it. Boom. Point to the right, point to the left. Square, right, left.
Yep.
Educate your hands.
Yep.
So most people we work with on a grade scale, their hands would be in kindergarten.
Sometimes preschool.
Sometimes preschool. You want to get those to the PhD level. Those guys need to know what to do.
Yeah.
Right.
If they know what to do, you're going to be ahead of the curve.
Yeah, if they know what to do, you can get away with a lot of other swing faults.
Yeah, yeah.
You can make up for it. That's why they say, you know, when a tour player looks like they're out of balance, just go, boy, got great hands.
Well, you know,
Their hands are tuned to what the club's doing.
well, a great example here at our club is probably the best player at our club. He's a former tennis player.
Right.
Now, you can't tell me that a tennis player doesn't know what their hands are doing.
Right.
He's got one of the most unorthodox swings you've ever seen, but he's a +2, +3.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, he was a +6 earlier in the year.
Flat can play. So, you know, there you go.
All right, next question. What is the best method to hit a straight draw? Well, Gary, I don't think you want to hit a straight draw because you miss your target to the right. What you want to hit is a push draw.
Yep. So again, I'm going to do it from this side here. So, you know, again, Chuck said earlier, if you take a rod and kind of stick it in the ground on your target line right out here. So to hit the effective draw, we want that ball starting to the right of that post that's in the ground. So we know that when I come into impact here, my face is going to be slightly open to the target line, but I've got to make sure that my path is inside enough where it's going to draw to the right, back to the left. So practice hitting shots And I would kind of do it in one of two ways, and you can pick and choose, but I would start by trying to hit shots first to the right of the post, and then once you get that feel, then feel like you've got the club coming more to the inside with the face being the same.
Right.
And then that's going to give you that draw that starts a little bit to the right and comes back to the target line. Like Chuck said, if it's going through the post, it's curving away from target line. We want it coming back to it.
Right. So you always want the ball curving toward the flag, but not past.
Right. And the same is true for a fade.
Yeah. All right, so let's see the next one from John. You always hear to stop a slice, you need a stronger grip, which I believe cups your left hand. However, at impact, you need a flat left wrist. Can you explain the process from strong or cupped at address to the top and down to impact? Okay, so strong, we have to figure out what that definition would be, because in my case, if I let my hand hang at this angle, I put the club in there and I go like this, that's absolutely neutral. I'll walk up so you can see my hand. So that's my neutral. So anything for a right-handed player to the right of that would be stronger for me. So now when I hold this up and I do that same exercise with my left hand, you'll see how I've rotated the face all the way over. For me, that's only going to produce low duck hooks.
It's true, I've seen it.
Yeah. So you see a lot. And let's go back for a second. So Freddie Couples and Paul Azinger, both, David Duvall, all three have what we would call super strong grips.
Zach Johnson.
Now, but Zach hits a draw.
Yeah.
Those other three guys hit a fade. So how do they do that? Well, when they get to the top, their left wrist is bent. This would be bent, and this would be flat, and that'd be arched, rounded off, right? So Lee Trevino is more like that. When they get to the top and that is bent with this strong grip, when they come down, this wrist is just going back to flat. The motion in itself will just make it come back to this flat right here. It won't be vertical.
Right.
It'll be flat and what we call bent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, flat
and level.
Flat and level. And you see here how the back of the left hand is pointing more out where it was at address. It's not going to be
vertical because that will close the face down. So if you're going from bent, and as you swing down, just the motion of you moving your arms will take that back into a flat position. Okay. So and level. So hope that helps. All right, let's see the next question. Bill, I'm 86 years old, have held a 3 to 4 handicap during my golf time. My short game's still good, but my distance and club head speed, 75 miles an hour, is gone. How can I pick up some additional speed? Well, first of all, Bill, congratulations on making it to 86.
Yeah.
I'm hoping I can get there too. As we get older, the body starts slowing down. We're not as strong. The fast twitch muscles are now either slow twitch or no twitch muscles. So we have to do, and we've done this a number of times, the rope drill that Brenndan did. You work on swinging a rope with your body stable. You work on just swinging light things like these rods. Just take them up to the top. I don't want to hit you. Take them up to the top and get that thing to swish, right? Just boom. You can't do that. What slows the club down is all of this motion.
Yeah.
Right? You've got to get those things going.
Yeah.
To build up some more flexibility or length, I would also encourage you, when you take the club back, go ahead and feel like your right hip, okay, is turning as far back as you can with your belt buckle facing away from target. It's okay to lift this heel. That'll give you a lot more turn so that when you come down, you can turn out of the way.
Yeah.
If you don't turn your shoulders and all you do is pick up your arms, you're not going to build any speed. So here's a drill that you can do for more shoulder turn. Just simply get in your address position, put the club across your chest. Now, turn as if someone's calling your name. I got a full turn, full hips, full shoulder turn. I'm over here as far as I can possibly get. Now add the club.
Yeah.
Okay. What most people do is they're stuck here and they go like this. Well, now I don't have any shoulder turn. All right. So if I don't have those pieces moving and getting farther away from target, it's really hard to get them to go toward the TV speed.
Right, right.
Anything else you want to add to that?
No, just definitely you want to feel like you've got some freedom of motion there, especially on the turn part.
All right, let's see here. From Gary, how much forearm rotation is enough during the backswing? At what point does it become too much? In the downswing, after the forearm rotates the club to square, does the left wrist start to break back like the right wrist does on the backswing? Or does the forearm wrist stay firm and continue to turn down through impact? Okay, so that's multiple questions.
A lot of variables in there.
So the amount of your forearm rotation, if any, is determined by what you want your club face to do in the backswing. So if I want my club face to stay what I would consider a little turn down, I don't have much forearm rotation. I just take it to the top and swing it right back down.
Right.
You have to be careful with forearm rotation, because if you have too much and your body and arm sequence is not together, what happens is, we see this all the time, people rotate the face, the club gets way behind them, and they either lift and go across the line, or they just leave it back here so much that when they come down, they actually open the face even more.
Yeah, they'll actually go the opposite way.
They'll go the opposite, it does a reverse look.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's again, there's a lot of things in there which we say a lot to students. Well, it depends.
Yeah.
But we see a ton of the opposite what Chuck was just saying, where players will really roll it and fan it open, and now they're all just really in bad shape. So we spend a lot of time explaining to players, this shaft of this club here is resting on a plane. It's on an inclined plane. Well, if we let the shaft go back, well, that face is naturally going to be rotated
down.
But notice it, I'm not going to do it with my hands.
Right.
So geometrically, it's going to do it on its own. Okay, but now of course you can manipulate it some ways. But depending on what the problem is with if your ball starts too far to the left, too far to the right, it depends on what the ball's doing too.
All right, and so if you actually do all this forearm rotation in the backswing, then that means you'd have to do just the opposite coming down.
Right.
Because if you don't, the face is going to be wide open.
And there's a lot of players that can't do that.
Right.
I mean, there's a few that's been able to, great ones that have, like Hogan and Snead and those players. But everyday players, if they come back in the halfway point and it's laying like this, well, then on the through part, it had better be over on the other side there.
Right.
So wherever it is halfway down, it better match on the halfway point through.
Right, so that's what you're wanting to do. When you get back and you bring it down, stop down here where the last parallel is, the shaft is parallel, and look at your club face. Is it up? Is it open? Is it turned down? Well, ideally, it's going to be down a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Okay, not this, right, but just down a little. So now when you go through the shot, you don't have to roll into that. When you get over here, it's still turned down again, as you can see from here. See, I haven't rolled my hands over and done any of this. But now, if I have the face up and I get over here, you see how the face is pointing to the sky, and most people try to accommodate that by bending their elbow because their body stops, or they'll sling it around here. So again, if you just get it tilted down just a little, once you get down here at waist high, then just keep it in that condition until you get over here.
Right. A lot of less moving pieces there.
Yeah, so you want to move as few pieces as possible in the smallest amount of space.
Yep, that's all we're trying to do.
All right, so let's see. I think we have one more. Air is firing back at us. Hang on here, Air. How to hit a straight shot into the wind with little spin.
Air, we're going to charge you $0.25 for every question. Just FYI.
Just keep them coming. Okay, so there's no difference between hitting it into the wind and trying to hit a straight shot than hitting it with no wind.
Right.
The only difference is the wind is going to influence the trajectory. It's going to influence some of the distance, and it can increase the spin rate, just like trying to hit one downwind.
Right.
Will do the same thing. The wind downwind can knock the ball down just as easily as the ball into the wind.
Yeah. A lot of times when players have a wind in their face, then we see it every time where they'll take maybe one extra club, or sometimes we even see it, they'll take the same club, but they think they need to swing harder, which that's not going to help you. I mean, if you just take one more club and actually feel like you're going 80% sometimes, hit the ball, try to focus on hitting the ball solid. A lot of times it's just going to eat through the wind.
Right.
The more solid you hit a shot, a lot of times it'll just go right through the wind.
All out Tom Watson.
Yeah.
You know, the wind didn't affect him when he won all the British Opens because he did not create a lot of spin on him by trying to hit him harder. He just took a bigger club, made basically the same swing.
Yeah. I mean, that's I always, when I was younger, always loved playing in the wind because, you know, especially in college when you're playing in the spring and fall, it was nasty conditions. And I always felt more confident when it was cold and windy because I knew if I just took more club, swung about 80%, I was always going to hit it solid. Right? It would just eat through the wind without trying to worry about, you know, controlling it, hitting it lower per se or higher. You know, just focus on hitting it solid, a little bit easier swing, and you'll be amazed at what will happen.
Right. Well, that's the end of the questions. So we want to thank you all for joining us. We will see you next Friday. It is Red Friday. You don't even have a color anymore because you don't have a quarterback. Oh yeah,
They got Matt Castle.
you got Matt Castle. Anyway, let's go Chiefs Sunday, Green Bay, Lambeau Field. See you guys next week.